that led to us establishing by executive order a violence crime reduction task force so that we can address things in real time, and as our hardworking men and women of the New Orleans Police Department are out there protecting and serving, that we're doing our part internally with every single city department where we can bring all of our resources to bear to improve the overall quality of life in the community. And today we are in Gergtown. You know, I have to give a special shout out not only to my chairman, Tyrell Morris, thank you so much, but to also Captain Gwen Nolan. Captain Gwen Nolan and even Tyrell, prior to formulating this task force, were always focusing on a holistic approach aligned with the administration, but to rid our community of not only crime and violence, but just pushing towards a better quality of life, because we understand that the broken windows theory is real. And if we can get the trash out of people's eyes, as I've always said, then we can clearly allow people to see progress and also where we want to go and where we want to be and stay as a community, but as a city of New Orleans. So with this, we're going to have the demolition happen. I want to also give just a special shout out to Dirk Construction, who is our contractors on this particular job, but also on other projects throughout the city. But they're intentional. They are focused on community and quality of life. And it's always so good to just see the alignment from one to the next, whether it's the administration, to the contractors we hire, to the leadership that we have leading in key positions. And that brings me to the next individual that I did want to recognize and give a shout out, and that is my Deputy CAO, Thomas Mulligan, who has really hit the ground running and has embraced not only the vision that we put forth, but also the much needed additional resources that we have been able to activate towards code enforcement and all those agencies under his umbrella. And that does come with the partnership with the New Orleans City Council. And I'm so happy to have Council Member Leslie Harris here. We know that we're in District B, no stranger to me, but also no stranger to her. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chairman Tyrell Morris. Tyrell?
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everybody. After a homicide at this location in January of this year, Captain Nolan elevated this location to the task force and asked us to really take a look, because she believed that it was a major contributor to violent crime in this particular neighborhood. The task force came together with all of our department heads at the table. We evaluated the law and used the data to inform our decisions as far as what was the appropriate abatement for a location like this. And ultimately it was decided that demolition was the most appropriate course of action. So in mid-February, the task force gathered that data, made a formal recommendation to the mayor that we believe that this is what's the appropriate course of action. It went through the various levels of review, because we don't take demolition of a property lightly. We understand that this property is owned by someone, and for the city to come in and demolish it is something that we don't like to see happen, but we will do if it's necessary to protect the people that live in this community. So the mayor reviewed the information, quickly gave her approval, and the process happened. So yesterday morning, the city of New Orleans officially issued a demolition permit for this location after giving proper notice in line with the law. And so here we are today. So again, this is just an example of how the residents and the public servants of this great city are coming together to be innovative and leaving no stone unturned to return this city back to those who love it. And this facility will come down, and we look forward to see what the next development is in this location. So with that, I will ask Deputy CAO Tom Mulligan to give you some remarks as to why this is such an important point in the city's history.
Thank you, Director Morris. Department of Code Enforcement is taking this abatement measure today in accordance with our emergency powers under Chapter 26 of the Municipal Code, which authorizes us, and in some cases requires us, to take emergency action against properties that pose imminent dangers to life, health, property, or public safety, which this properly certainly does. It was referred to us, although already on our radar, from the Violent Crime Task Force, And although typically when we think of a blighted property that requires demolition, we think of a property that's collapsing, the public dangers in the case of blight like this run the gamut. So this property has been the source of criminality for some time. There's a well-established link, causal link between blight and crime. They pose fire hazards, and so we make a holistic judgment about the danger that a property poses to the public safety and then choose an appropriate abatement measure. And that's what we've done here today. Madam Mayor, I want to thank you for your leadership and your support to the Department of Code Enforcement. Also, Councilmember Harris. Department of Code Enforcement has about 40 employees that work hard every day on behalf of the citizens of New Orleans to ensure that properties and premises are safe and we have a good quality of life. And so what you see today, the demolition, is the final point of a long process. Office workers, researchers, lawyers, operational people, inspectors, all of whom have to work together to make the impact on our community that ultimately makes us safer. And our contractor, Durr, plays a critical role as well. As the mayor said, to get these things right and to make the impact we want to have, it has to be a team effort. So I'm always thrilled to see that happen. And the last thing I'll say is simply, Department of Code Enforcement is committed to aggressively using all of our tools to make our city a safer place and ensure properties are in compliance with the law, and that's our intention moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom, and good shout out Winston Reed, Director of Code Enforcement. Keep it going.
As the Violent Crime Reduction Task Force is here to support the brave men and women of the New Orleans Police Department. And that has always been our quest, that has been our charge. And so Captain Nolan elevated this location. I'm glad we can support her today. Captain Nolan?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Captain Gwen Nolan with the New Orleans Police Department. I'm in the 2nd District. Thank you for being here today. This is a great day for the 2nd District in Gertown. I'm glad to see that this Paradise car wash is going to be demolished today. January 4th of this year, we had a murder. 2nd District call, a call came in for a unresponsive man down here, and our 2nd District units responded to the call for service, and they found a gentleman here by the name of John Connolly. He's 59 years old. He was bludgeoned to death here violently. It was a horrific event, and in what I did immediately was call Director Morris and tell him, the circumstances, and asked him for his help to demolish this with urgency, because you could see that it was a problem area where we had homeless people and other criminal elements hanging out here, and in order to prevent it from happening again, I asked him to make an emergency order and help elevate this demolition. So we're asking anyone in the community to please come forward with any information about the murder of Mr. Connolly. You can call Crime Stoppers at 822-1111 or contact New Orleans Police Department Homicide Unit or 2nd District. We'd be grateful for any tips that you could provide to help solve this murder. And I'd like to thank the men and women and the team efforts of Code Enforcement and all the units that were involved in this. It takes many hours of planning and research to get this done. So again, it's a good day for the 2nd District in Gertown. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as mentioned, spirit of partnership, and that is definitely with New Orleans City Councilwoman Leslie Harris. Councilmember.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we all know that the data show that blight increases crime, and this is a great day to show partnership and how, as partners, through the mayor's administration, the mayor's office, Director Morris, NOPD, that we can come together and actually solve the blight crisis that is plaguing New Orleans, which again directly impacts the crime crisis. So again, I just want to thank everybody for their partnership. My office has gone on blight walks with Director Mulligan's team. We know where the blight is. We are addressing it again as a team and making sure that things like this no longer stand, that we get them demolished and back into commerce. So thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Any questions? Starting with WWL, let's just go left to right.
Can you talk about any other tangible things that the task force is doing, like this demolition already?
Yeah, so the task force, I'm planning a full public briefing on April 5th to the New Orleans City Council for the Criminal Justice Committee with Chairman Oliver Thomas presiding over that meeting. But the task force is lock and step. I mean, this is just one example and one property we have our eye on. I gave the example this morning that I won't give the location, but we have one location in the city that has commanded a public safety response 110 times since January 1. And so clearly that is an area we need to look at, and we're letting the data drive those decisions. Before the task force was stood up, the city didn't have the resources yet in place to remove junk and hazardous vehicles off our street. Since then, we've done 210 of those vehicles are now off the street in this 60-day period. We're hosting crime social media training for our law enforcement partners regionally to really understand how to use all the tools to really solve violent crime. That's just one example. I can go on, and I will go in more detail at the public hearing on April 5th.
My second question, if that's all right, is when you talk about the ownership of this building, does the city take over ownership now that you're demolishing, or what's going on with the ownership?
So ownership does not change, at least immediately. This is an emergency action. What we do is conduct the demolition. We incur a cost, hold a cost hearing to essentially pass that cost on to the owner so that the residents of New Orleans don't end up paying for the cost of this necessary emergency abatement. Now, subsequent to that, if that lien isn't paid off, there could be a process by which the property gets sold. But for now, the ownership doesn't change.
WDSU and then Fox 8.
A couple of quick questions. One, you said there are several properties you're looking into. Are we talking dozens, hundreds? What are we talking about when it comes to blighted property? Because there's a lot here in the city of New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm going to hold back and give you a number. There's several, right? But I will tell you, there's a vetting process for a property, and a lot of times we realize with a simple conversation with an owner, it's mitigated, right? And so it doesn't require a full demolition. As Director Mulligan mentioned, this is the final step in a process to mitigate blight amongst our community. And so I don't want to give a hard, fast number. We consider it law enforcement sensitive because, sometimes it's part of an overall strategy.
All right, final question for me. It's been past 60 days for you guys since you've all been implemented by Mayor Terrell. What has been the challenges for you all when it comes to trying to come up with solutions to reduce crime in the city?
This is dated.
And also, has the consent decree been a big challenge at all?
60 days is not a fair.
Yeah. I don't want to. There's no barrier. There's no. It's a benchmark internally to see if we need to rechange strategy. And for example, the mayor made the decision well before the 60-day mark to expand the membership of the task force. And so, to me, we evaluate this thing every day. We are moving based upon data and the conditions on the ground. I got a question this morning about how many meetings have we had. I'm not interested in meeting to meet. I'm interested to work.
That's it.
Right? And so we meet when it's necessary. And our challenges, consent decree, absolutely not. The work is happening, and we will continue to celebrate successes like this.
Fox 8.
Is there a data report coming out? Because Mayor Cantrell, you did say within those 60 days you
No, I
looked
didn't.
at data.
No, I didn't. I didn't say that. I did not say that. What I said that we would always look at data week to week relative to crime trends throughout the city of New Orleans relative to the work of this task force. Giving you updates is something that we will do and we do consistently. The full update that is going to go before the Criminal Justice Committee of the New Orleans City Council, that date was just given. In terms of April 15th, April 5th, we're looking at the 15th, but April 5th. And so as we continue to do the work, we'll continue to show the work and engage every step of the way.
And one more question. Given Councilmember Moreno's call for the update, can you confidently defend that you will be including the full city council in this crime prevention task force every step?
So the New Orleans City Council has representatives on the task force, which represents the entire New Orleans City Council. When the committee reports out and shares information at the Criminal Justice Committee, understand that the entire New Orleans City Council can participate in any committee meetings that are held. That's the responsibility of the New Orleans City Council. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Mayor. I'm talking about this box right here. What does demolition look like? Is it just the structure? Or does all of it get cleaned up and that stuff over there as well? Because it appears to me, if we're just talking about this, and that appears to be more blight than just a hanging around. So what is today's demolition look like?
So it looks like just exactly what you indicated looks like blight. All of it. Now, as you know, and you've seen demolitions in the past, after it's taken down, then it will be level dirt in the lake. Well, then that also will turn to the property owner, because we will then want to see routine maintenance. We don't want vegetation growing and the like. So we'll continue to remain laser focused on it, but also as it relates to this task force, what I love about it the most is that we also look at other opportunities around, like for example, where we're doing this demolition today. So whether it is the street out front where you have the cones, that's on our radar, and anything around it. So we're just taking that holistic and comprehensive approach to mitigating any issues relative to violence and crime in the community. Quality of life.
Structure behind you, whatever that is, I'm not sure that's part of it. But some of this kind of saying the things are property that you're working with.
Right, that's exactly right.
Last question, the advocate.
Oh, thank you. So this business is completely defunct. Will the task force be looking at existing businesses that are in, like have code infractions or are signs of criminality? I'm thinking in particular of the tire shop in the 1200 block of North Claiborne, where 2 carjacking suspects were apprehended yesterday.
Anything that touches violent crime in the city of New Orleans and utilizing the data trends on a daily and weekly basis will be targeted by. In addition to that, and separate really from the task force, you have the day-to-day operations of code enforcement under the umbrella of the Office of Business and External Services, led by Mr. Mulligan. With the infusion of hard-fought dollars, I have to go back to it, and that direct allocation of the American Rescue Plan dollars, we're able to sure departments that speak to quality of life in the city of New Orleans. That's the good news. All right? Thank you all so much.
Thank you. See you.
All right, thank you. Are you
Thomas, are they demolishing right now?
So let me double check.
Yes.
Can we move from this area? Okay, 'cause I'm not trying to breathe.
I'm about to say, try to keep us track.
No, sir. Let me get that.
Hold up, Gregory. Can we get that in right?